Buffs Nation, what is going on? I appreciate everybody who's about to hop in here. I see a kind comment here from Al Love. Says blessings. Sorry to hear that. I'm sure God has something better for you, more than you can imagine possible. Trust in him. See, he was looking for someone in the media department. I appreciate that, man. Uh, just life just comes at you fast. So I got laid off today. This comes after just hearing yesterday that that big life changing job that I was gunning for. That I was really hoping that I'd land. It just didn't work out. They decided to go with somebody else, and um, it's a bummer, but man, I loved my time, and hopefully there's another position at that place that opens up here at some point. But here I am, coming into work today, after having off Juneteenth. And first thing, HR just calls me up and, tells me, that today's my last day. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. I've had a lot of fun kind of doing this on the side, and this kind of gives me the opportunity to kind of think a little bit more creatively about this channel and where I want to take it. I've thought about maybe doing maybe if I do contract work where I can make like the same amount of money I make full time, but making it doing like 20-30 hours a week instead. It would really leave me the opportunity to focus and build this channel more. And that's something that I'm really passionate about, something that I have a lot of fun with, talking with you guys all the time. So I would appreciate it, yeah, if y'all have any connections or feel like I might, be a good fit for something that of. Please let me know. I'm pretty much open to anything. Again, I got my MBA at CU, and I'm really passionate about strategy and market research. But there are, so many other things that I feel like I'm talented in. I have a big, entrepreneurial, personality, which y'all have been able to see. So you can find me on Twitter at David Talks Buffs. Please reach out to me. But yeah, it would be kind of cool, if I'm able to land something that's more contract. It would give me the flexibility to do this more often, and really kind of lean into this more, and growing it into a full-time thing. And so I'm trying to start, think about that a little bit more. But, I got a lot of other stuff to figure out in the meantime, see how my recruiters, go to bat for me, and all of that. So fill out all that unemployment, all that good stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But I appreciate all y'all rocking with me. I see you got 18 people in here in the middle of the afternoon. It's amazing. If you could hit that like, I'd really appreciate it. And want to say thank you to No Sco Zone. Good bro, I appreciate that. Always appreciate your support, being with me from day one. Ron, yeah, keep your head up, bro, and stay positive. Absolutely. It's it was kind of funny because like for some reason I was just like dreading, um, like coming into work, and maybe I just knew, maybe my body knew or my spirit knew. And I think I was more relieved than anything, because this company had been going through so many different rounds of layoffs over this year. And, it's just a matter of time. That happens when you're not winning business. So I wish I could have been on the new business team, because I think I would have pitched things really well. But maybe I can do that at this next, venture wherever I'm at. Jonathan, man, I appreciate you. That means a lot. And Asael Sibo, God bless you, man. Better things ahead. Absolutely. And it's going to be fun to see kind of where I can take this channel moving forward, which is going to be great. But man, let's go ahead and dive in. Man, Troy Polamalu, my boss didn't let me get a week off to drive my girl to Connecticut, because I didn't want her driving alone for like 20 hours. Yeah, dude, F him, bro. Yeah, man, it's tough, man. Some companies I've worked for that I feel like they've been super understanding, and then other ones, they just haven't been. And It's unfortunate. We just need more kind and understanding people in the world. Tim, man, I appreciate all this, man. Because I think that this has been something that I haven't had a passion, or like I haven't had an entrepreneurial type of fire, within me since I was running like my coffee businesses years and years and years ago. And yeah, like this is something that I feel like it could become something as long as I continue to stay consistent and put time into it. And yeah, if it just works out to where, I'm able to do that and still make, the money that, that I need. And that, I mean, you can't complain like waking up and doing something, that you enjoy every day. And that's really what I'm wanting to get into. So there's a lot of things that I feel like I could have a lot of fun doing, or that I have had fun doing in the past. And I mean, now is just a time to make sure that I go after it and also leave room for, my passions, my passion projects, which is something like this as well. I appreciate that. Gig economy is always a good option that gives you a lot of flexibility and freedom. Yeah, like what I'm telling like my recruiters now is like, let's look for some contract work. It's not something that has to be a long-term commitment. Usually the hourly pays pretty well, and I'm comfortable if I need to find my own health insurance and all that. I can do that, man. I'm a healthy guy. I exercise pretty much every day. I have a good time. Green Creole, you are you're too kind. You do not need to do that. This doesn't need to be a GoFundMe, but I appreciate that. You guys are so kind, and man, it's my joy to bring you Buffs content. And I think, that this is a blessing in disguise, that this is something where, hopefully it could lead to me putting out more content for y'all where we all, benefit from it. I'm getting to do more things that I enjoy. Y'all get to see more of my face. I mean, how can, we, it's a win-win for everybody. Yeah. So man, yeah, y'all are awesome. Y'all are always so encouraging. And Green Creole, I didn't tell you this, but all my in-laws live in San Antonio. That's great. And I want to be surprised if we live there one day. It's awesome. But I do have a little bit of Bitcoin, but nothing major. I ain't selling though. I'll hold. We'll see what happens. But man, let's talk about the Buffs. There's been a few things that I've wanted to talk about. I've wanted to talk about my tight end theory, so I'm really curious what y'all think about this. But I mean, we got two tight ends on the roster right now, scholarship, and we got, let's see, Eric Olson, I believe, was the one that left a couple weeks ago. Now that could mean, which I think is probably the most logical way to look at this, Eric Olson knows there's some other guys coming in here, or maybe they just haven't been announced yet. So he's like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, which is probably the most likely thing. But I also thought, I wonder if we're having trouble getting tight ends to come here because the system doesn't showcase tight ends really at all. I know that probably sounds like a little ridiculous, but that's what I'm kind of wondering. It was obvious that Zico came here with the idea that he was, going to, be showcased and whatever. And it seems like there was some misunderstanding maybe on his end of what the expectations were for his role coming in here. And then, I mean, with the other guys that we've offered or had interest in and held on visits, it seems like they're either interested in other schools or they've committed to other schools. Dallin Bentley, who we offered from Snow College, ended up committing to Utah. And then I think just after I commented on it on Saturday, Connor Gilbreth did indeed commit to LSU. And that one, I wouldn't say it's because of the system, because I mean, he wasn't a pass catcher at all, at the junior college level anyways, and he wants to continue to transition to offensive tackle. But I am wondering if that is, something that these guys are considering. Some of these tight ends, they obviously, just like any other position, one of the ways or one of the things that you're going to ask when you're going on these visits is, okay, like, how am I going to be highlighted? How am I going to be showcased to show my whole skill set? And I mean, I would like to see the Sean Lewis offense evolve. I mean, all good offenses do evolve, but I am just wondering if that's something that if we don't really have a lot of great data to go off of in terms of the last few years at Kent State of the tight end being involved, and I wonder if that is what's keeping certain people away from committing here. Again, this is all just speculation, something that I've thought about, and maybe this is something that the offense needs to work towards incorporating more. Um, and yeah, so yeah, Trevor Branch brings this up. Um, I believe other schools are telling tight ends not to come to Colorado because they won't showcase them in the offense. And I think, like, if I was recruiting against Colorado for these tight ends, that's exactly what I would be saying. What's the point of going there? Now, I do think if Colorado like just wants to use their tight ends in that way, really isn't interested in evolving their offense to involve a more well-rounded tight end with a receiving skill set, that's totally okay. But I think then, their route might be kind of recruiting these tight ends with kind of this Connor Gilbreth type profile, that are these larger tight ends that eventually want to make the transition over to the offensive line, but maybe need a year or two to get their body in that position. And coming here and playing tight end at CU would prepare you to do that. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking about, is maybe that's just the way in which we pitch this position moving forward. Or again, I've said this probably a handful of times over the last couple of weeks, maybe this really is just an offense where we do have these two tight ends in Fourier and Passarello, where we can send out and catch passes every now and then, but maybe we really just are going 6 offensive linemen, 7 offensive linemen with some of these sets. Maybe that's really going to be the big change in some of this, and where it's going to be centered around making sure that Shedeur has enough time to get rid of the ball, and we rely on the receivers that we have out there, whether that's 2 or 3 guys going out there and showcasing their speed to create separation, while they're while they got guys in the zone covering them or double covered in some ways. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes. Cindy Jones, thanks for tuning in. She says, I'm thinking today's tight end doesn't want to be blockers, just receivers. And I think that's totally fair. And especially, I mean, in today's world, the tight end is now more traditionally viewed as a receiving threat that will block sometimes. And we're kind of going a little bit old school with how we handle our tight ends. Let me chime in on a few of these. Thank you, Papa. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it as well. If I can get through unemployment and COVID, I can get through this. That's for sure. No Sco Zone says Charles Lester III sets commitment date for July 29th. Yes, he was just at Florida State. I think he's got Georgia coming up. Has he visited Alabama yet? I don't think he has. Maybe he's got those two. But man, that would be a huge get for Colorado if he's able to commit here. It would be amazing. Nicholas Brash, I appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, man. Quite a surprise, double whammy today. But, overall, I think I feel relief more than anything. And now I know the direction that I want to go. So, and hopefully that can mean more time for doing this stuff as well and growing this channel. Cormani McLean, not on campus yet. Where is he? Just joking. Yeah, has he arrived yet? I haven't seen anything on Twitter. Maybe y'all can keep me in the loop with that, but surely he's here by now. Darren Jennings, good to see you, man. What's the over under for CU as far as wins? I might have bet on the over. I think it's still at 3.5. Again, I'm not providing betting advice. Want to clarify that. I'm just sharing with y'all what I did. I did a parlay on the Nuggets a few weeks ago to win the NBA title, and then over the 3.5 wins that was on DraftKings. So halfway there, and hopefully they can get 4 wins. I mean, I think they can. If I had to name kind of their 4 most winnable opponents, it would be Stanford, CSU. People, honestly, Nebraska. I mean, they lost to Northwestern last year. I don't care that it was often. Was it Ireland? I don't care. You lost to Northwestern, and did not bring in the transfers to the level that we did. So that's 3. And then, I mean, there's so many others to pick from. ASU, they're going to have a starting true freshman quarterback. UCLA has a true freshman starting quarterback, most likely. Arizona, I feel like, is gettable. There's a lot of opponents that I feel like they can beat, including TCU. They're big 21-point dogs right now, but I would view that game as winnable as well, depending on, TCU's quarterback play. And right now, I think CU has the better quarterback. And usually when you have the better quarterback, you usually win most of the time. That's just how it is. Hey, Chad, please hit that like button. Yeah, hit that like button. I'd appreciate that. Cheryl C, I just received notification of your live. Keep your head up, David. I know better is on the horizon. More doors will open up soon. Yes, I totally believe that. I feel like I've been so close to nailing a new gig that I've been really interested in doing, and they've just decided to go with other finalists. So I can't hate on that, but I know my time's coming, but this is going to be a good thing. And usually when I've had trouble finding work, I usually find a way to get a pay raise anyways. So I think it's gonna work out, and hopefully I'll have more time for this. Tony White says, I haven't seen Leonard Payne from Fresno State. He is one of our DTs. That's interesting. You haven't seen him on campus yet. Well, I'm going to have to look into that, because I think a lot of people got really high expectations for him as well. Nicholas Braxton, remember, CU is one of the few teams that have a fullback. Yes, and I love that, because nothing drives me more crazy than seeing college teams specifically, or you see it in the NFL sometimes too, that don't have this fullback and they can't punch it in the red zone, man. So I'm glad that we got one in Champion Johnson. Shiny King, I appreciate that. Smash that like button. Absolutely, man. Today's going to be a good day. Mac Mill, what's going on? Oh, man. John Jacobs, man. Man, y'all are too kind. Y'all are too kind. I really do appreciate that. And, it means a lot, man. Double whammy, all that. But, you just got to have a positive attitude when these sorts of things happen, and you gotta take a growth mindset with it. And again, now I have the opportunity to really go after and do more things that I love, and I think that, man, it would be cool if there's any other Denver media that's needing another voice, just let me know. It would be really cool if I could get on some of these other shows, or do some contract work, whether it is in sports media or, again, other things like market research and strategy. I love interviewing people. I love figuring out why people behave the way they do, whether that's in the market or not. And I got a lot to add. I got a great personality, and I think people really do enjoy working with me. But you're too kind, John. I really do appreciate that. That means a lot. Ron, blame Kelsey and Pitts. Yeah, of why all these guys want to be star receiving tight ends for real. But yeah, maybe this is. I do think that this is something that I would. If I had control over everything, why wouldn't you want a more dual threat tight end. One where when we're lining up, you don't know if that tight end is going to be going out receiving or blocking. I mean, it keeps the defense guessing, and it's something I don't know if like Sean Lewis, if at Kent State the tight ends just weren't up to that level where they were capable of doing that. I do think that Passarello as well as Fourier have some decent receiving chops, but I think it would be a shame even to them if they weren't used in the passing game at all. And I think that's a way in which that I would like to see this offense grow and evolve. It was something that I was very excited about Zico, but again, if he's going to be the opposite and can't block at all, you can't have him on the field like either, because that's going to dictate to the defense what we're really doing. Cheryl C. I want Javon Antonio as a receiver. There's always tight end comments about him. Yeah, I feel the same. Get that man on those small 5'10" cornerbacks and just let him dominate and go to work. We don't need to try and make him a tight end or whatever. That's why he was so lowly recruited coming out of high school. He's playing the wrong position. Trevor Branch. Coach Sean Lewis will surprise a lot of folks this year with the tight end production on offense. I like to hear that. Defense will focus on Jimmy Horn Jr. and Xavier Weaver, which will free up the tight end. Absolutely. And then, of course, you guys, I can't talk. You got guys like Travis Hunter and Javon Antonio going out there as well. And I mean, when you got, 4 guys out there like that, how are you going to cover all of them? And Shador's getting good time, he's going to be able to make those passes and put up a lot of points. But man, I would love to see the offense evolve to more tight end involvement. He's there. His mom said he was en route this weekend, Cormani. That's great. I should check his Instagram to see if he is enjoying the nice weather out here, because it's been great. Thank you for my bet. I appreciate that. Go Nuggets. Go Nuggets. All right, Jordan Smith. I'm sure a lot of people are there that we just haven't seen on video yet. Once they've cleared, we'll see them. That's a great point. That's a great point. And hopefully we got another tight end or two that's there that we just don't know about him yet. Yeah, Cindy Jones agrees. Yeah, Antonio, we don't need you at tight end, man. We need you Moss and guys at the wide receiver position. That's how I feel, man. Oh, let's see. Five really winnable games right here. Arizona State, CSU, Stanford, Arizona, Nebraska. Absolutely. And I know Wazoo finished with a winning record last year, but I think they had a losing record in the conference. Y'all might need to fact check me on that. Once the season starts, you'll not have to work. Man, wouldn't that just be a dream? It's been kind of fun to know, like, going into this. It's like, okay, I kind of need to plan like my weekends around making sure I can do post games and all that stuff, and it'll be different, but it'll be a lot of fun, and that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And my wife's been super supportive of all this, so she's like, yeah, like, do what you got to do. Jordan Smith. Also, Javon Antonio as a tight end would be a waste of talent. Part of the reason he was a 2-star, yes, was because he played tight end. Beat me to it. Javon Antonio is a true X, not a tight end. Said from the David Talks Buffs honorary scout. That's what I'm calling you now, Nicholas Braxton. You're right on it. John Robert, I keep saying the triple option or the wishbone is an offense that CU can really run successfully. Absolutely. And, they've run it historically in the past. It was an exciting offense to run. And, back then it really did put the defense in difficult positions because of the amount of athleticism that CU had running that option. Even the past CU teams as of recently, they've had a hard time dealing with freaking Air Force because we just, as pathetic as this is, we just didn't have the athletes to keep up with their with their option offense. That would be kind of cool to see some different wrinkles where you're kind of throwing that in there this year. They got the athletes to do it. You're right about that. Lawrence Collins, DNVR, man, I would love that, man. That would be a lot of fun because they've been a big inspiration for me getting on here, and Um, I did reach out to them during COVID about if they kind of needed help from like a social media perspective or anything like that. But I was just looking for some part time work, honestly, just to find anything like while the economy sucked. And RK got back to me. I made like this whole pitch to him about like how I could see them growing some of their media channels and stuff like that. And like he, watched the whole video and stuff like that. I think it was like 7 or 8 minutes long, and really appreciated it. But they didn't have room to hire me at that point, or weren't looking for that kind of stuff. But man, it would be cool to get on the show and and all of that. Even if they're, I don't know, hell, even if they're needing some sales, I can help them out with that. Pull up to campus with a mic. That's a great idea. I need to do that. Yeah, it's only a little ways away. Who got laid off? This guy right here. I got laid off today. So today was my last day, I guess. I found out this morning, and I get 2 weeks and a few PTO days, and that's it. So nice that I get some severance compared to none. But yeah, not ideal. It's never ideal to lose your job. It's always better to go from one job to the next. This probably kills my ability to get approved for a mortgage right now, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm thankful to have a roof over my head as is. All right, let's see what else y'all got to say. Ron says, if Zico's not working at tight end, how would a smaller Javon work? Absolutely. Yeah, I guess they're kind of around the same size. If not, Javon might be a little bit bigger though, right? Yeah. Is he like 220 pounds? 200? I forget what Zico was at. I thought he was at like 220. Is Fourier healthy? I would assume so. I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tight ends have to be used in the passing game to keep defenses honest. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. And there's been so much talk about why Zico wasn't a fit. And, we need to talk about how this offense needs to incorporate the tight end more moving forward. CU just needs our tight ends to be check down Charlie's, get enough weapons in the backfield, got enough weapons in the backfield and at wide receiver. I agree with you. Our best players are at those positions. But when we get inside and, the opponent's 30 or 25 red zone, whatever it is, it's going to be nice to have a tight end that can go out, run those seams, and score some touchdowns for us. Would be nice. But you're right. The base of this offense is going to run through the talent that they brought in at wide receiver and running back. No doubt about it. And it's going to be fun to see guys like Dylan Edwards, get some time in the slot. Hopefully, I would love that. What is everyone's favorite group on the Buffs? That's interesting, man. There's been so many people that I enjoy watching that I haven't been able to watch as much as recently, but now I got all the time in the world, I guess. But of course, DNVR, like I've been watching those guys for years, even back when they were called the BSN Denver, and then kind of broke away and did their own thing. But yeah, their Broncos show was originally what I listened to. And then, they had the Nuggets show, and then came out with the Buff show a little while back. So with Henry, them and guys have been following for a long time. Another guy, you all already know him, is Alpine Garage Sports. Chris is great. And then, man, like a lot of y'all's channels, that have just like come on like over the last 6 months. A lot of the guys that I've had on, they're some of my favorites, and hopefully soon I'll have Prime Sports Media. I finally remembered to DM him on Twitter, so hopefully I can get him on within the next week or two. But the community, man, it's a lot of fun. If there are others that you guys follow, really enjoy, please put that in the comments, because I might have not discovered them yet, and that would be really cool if I can discover them as well. Check them out. I'm more curious about Coach Kelly and the type of defense. So Darren Jennings saying, yeah, absolutely. Because this is kind of interesting. I feel like, our weaknesses or biggest question marks right now are on the inside of the defensive line and, the inside linebackers as well. But I feel like our strengths is, of course, more of that cornerback and safety, hybrid safety role. So it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what kind of fronts Charles Kelly plays, because they got a lot of good safeties. And some safeties that can cover like corners, some safeties that can cover in the slot. And I think some safeties, that play the run really well. So is there a world in which that we see more safeties on the field than linebackers here? Like, you guys tell me. Let's see what else y'all got to say. Because he couldn't handle Coach Brew. Yeah. Which his criticism, man, I know I've spoken on this before, but wait, I don't understand how you could be upset with anything Coach Brew said, at least that I saw in those videos or anything that I saw in his press conferences talking about Zico. There was nothing that, if I was Zico, that I would feel offended by. That's just me. I thought he was encouraging. I thought his criticism was valid. His feedback was valid. And, you got to grow and you got to learn. But I guess that's why he's wide receiver now. Nicholas says, look at Tim Brewster's old tight ends. Jay Sternberger, Nick O'Leary, Kyle Pitts, Antonio Gates. All those guys were complete tight ends. Yeah, that's why I'm really hoping, man, we're able to land Keelan Fox. Some people call him Kylan. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Keelan, right? I mean, that's what I've seen. Yeah, that big tight end. I know that he was visiting whether it's Florida or Florida State recently, or maybe it was Miami. It was one of the Florida schools. I'm not feeling that good about that recruitment right now, just because I don't feel like we've been able to get any of these tight ends that we've gone after. So hopefully, Keelan Fox can change that, because, man, one advantage that we got is one of these stud tight ends in the 24 class. Right now, how things are shaking out, they have a very quick path to playing time, just like Cormani McLean has here. Tim Tafoya says, I miss the days of Daniel Graham. Man, that guy was such a beast. He could do everything. And it was so great to see him come back and spend some of his later years of his NFL career in Denver as well, man. I love it when CU Buffs are able to play for the Broncos, like Matt Lepsis. Let's see who else we got. We got Tyler Columbus, who, I'm trying to think. There's definitely more. I like that Vance Joseph is back here. I know it didn't work out with him as head coach, but I really do like Vance Joseph, and I love his baritone voice. That was probably a terrible impression, but he's got the deepest voice I've ever heard, and he'd be really good doing media as well. I've become addicted to CU content. Likewise, Darren Jennings. That's why I felt the need to come on here and start contributing. So, hey, if you ever want to get on, start your own thing, man, just let me know. Happy to hop on and chat with you about things I've learned and mistakes I've made and all that. Yeah, Nick loves the corners and running backs. Like, man, I know that probably some of y'all disagree, but I think that Wilkerson will probably be number 2 on the team in carries. As long as everyone's healthy, next to Alton McCaskill. But I will say I would not be surprised if Dylan Edwards by, the end of the year is really that second back. I'm just not going to have huge expectations for him coming out of the gate being a true freshman, especially with the grown men they got in front of him. Zico definitely couldn't handle Coach Brew. I think the mind games got to him after a while. I mean, yeah, obviously there was like a personality clash or a misunderstanding to some extent, right? Nick O'Leary didn't even wear gloves. He was just a super old school tight end. Hopefully we can get another old school tight end like that. I love that throwback stuff. Let's see. If Elijah Yelverton can stay healthy, I think he could be a really good tight end for CU. He was recruited out of high school and also played with Shador in high school. He was highly recruited out of high school. Where does he play right now? I'm not familiar with him. Big LT, I appreciate the kind words, man. Absolutely. Looking up. Ooh, Darren Jennings says his favorite group is the O line. Give me your starting offensive line, starting five. I would love to hear that. Elijah says, jealous of your channel. That is why you got laid off. Man, maybe, man. I don't think that was the reason. Plus, I sadly not a lot of people I worked with seem to care about college football, which was sad. Basketball, on the other hand, that was a little different of a story, but man, we'll see. Waiting on Bucky to drop now. I'm itching over here, man. I need to check out. I need to catch up on a lot of these well-off videos and what's it called? What the people? What's it called? Why am I blanking on it? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Aaron says, right, he's definitely like my dad. That tough love has taught me about life itself. Absolutely. Coach Brew has a big heart, man. Yeah, Papa likes wide receiver. Reach the people. That's what it was. Zico couldn't handle the pressure. Yeah, let me hey, what's good, Reverend BJ Nelson? I need some prayers, man. I lost my job today. So you are the honorary Reverend of the David Talks Buffs channel. So I'm like, what's the word? Ordaining you as that. So I need some prayers. We'll see what we'll see what comes up next. But hopefully it can involve me being on YouTube more. You know what I'm saying? All right, Coach Bruce coming in the room says, stand tall, man. Like the good old Marine days. Love Coach Bruce. Yeah, that shit was like kind of hilarious when Alpine Garage did the video about comparing it to Full Metal Jacket. I just lost it, man. It was awesome. I love Coach Brew, but he's right. These men need to be proud about being Colorado Buffaloes because they haven't been proud for, let's be honest, a long time. All right, I actually think Steve as a solid is solid on the interior D line. Address the deficiencies via the spring portal. Now we have 7 interior defensive lines on scholarship. Not bad at linebacker either. Yeah, Ham, Bentley, Gant, Kennedy is Gant going to play more linebacker than safety. I feel like on the scholarship chart he's grouped as a safety right now. But yeah, that's why I've been wondering too. Like, I think he would make a good linebacker. Cheryl C says, I'd like to see kickers on well off and reach the people doing a competition. Is it too soon for that? No, because in the spring game, it was ugly. Now, most of those guys are gone that, couldn't seem to block anybody. That was just mind blowing. But I would like to see a kicker competition. I'd like to see that. Great question here from Trevor. What freshman will surprise people with their production on the field? Okay, well, we're going to see a lot of Cormani. We're going to see a lot of, I think, Dylan Edwards. There are, I guess, 2 other guys that I feel like I want to bring up in terms of guys that I'm hoping that we see perform on the field. I don't know if they will have like a ton of production, but I do think Carter Stoutmire gets playing time this year as a freshman. I do think that happens. I know that we're very deep now in the secondary, but I think he's a very talented cornerback, and he's got great size, man. He's got great size, and I don't know, just looking at his huddle tape highlights, like I just like how he attacks the ball, he's a ball hawk, and I would not be surprised to see him, do something, productive for this team his freshman year. And then the other guys, well, I guess it's 2, but a couple of the freshman wide receivers I'm pretty excited about. Adam Hopkins and Omarion Miller. I know that they're more big wide receivers, and it would probably take some injury to see them get on the field with kind of the big 4 or 5 guys that they have, with Eddie Willie Gaines, sorry, almost called him Eddie, and then the other guys that we discussed just a little bit ago, he could be, that if they get the time, I think that they could do something really impressive. Now, I would like to see Assad Wasim on kick returns. And I know that that's probably not the case. I mean, they got some other guys. I think it was EJ Horton that still is here, or like Tarvarish Dawson. I think we could see on kick returns as well. And then Willie Gaines. It's not Eddie. What am I saying? I'd like to see Willie Gaines too, but Assad Wasim, he's a freshman that I think could make an impact on special teams. Some of y'all have brought up before Dylan Edwards could return, and that'd be a lot of fun. But and I guess there's a couple more. Let's talk about linebacker really quick. I think Victory Johnson and both Morgan Pearson have a chance to get some playing time as well, depending on how this linebacker room shakes out. They got a lot of talented guys, but not a ton of production. As much as I love Demoy Kennedy's athleticism, again, we just haven't seen it from any of these guys coming over here. And this is their chance to really show out. And I'm thankful, or I'm positive that they can do that. But again, we just haven't seen it. I feel like everything is, up for grabs, and they're all going to have to compete for their spots. I was really high on Kofi Barracks Taylor, or Kofi Taylor Barracks. I always get his names confused. I did a video on him maybe like in early January when I first started this channel, and I like him a lot, but I think you're going to see him redshirt. Yelverton transferred in. He had a bad injury, but I believe he's healthy now. Okay, that's great. I need to look into that. Hey family, let's all push. Oh man, yeah, you guys well off. Reach the people the pregame to offer David a role in their staff. Man, that would be so cool. I need to reach out to the pregame show. I need to reach out to Uncle Neely again. I reached out to him privately a few weeks ago on Instagram, and he didn't see that. I'm guessing so, probably because he gets so many messages, and it was coming from my private account. I don't have like an official Instagram account. So maybe I just need to get on Twitter, make a video right there, put it in the public Twitter sphere saying, Uncle Neely, I'd love to have you on the show. Why am I missing this Elijah Yelverton thing? He was at Iowa the last 2 years and transferred to CU in December. Was he coming on as like a preferred walk-on? Is that like why I'm missing this? Because usually I don't feel like I miss this sort of stuff. I'm going to pull up 24/7 right now and take a look at that if my web browser wants to work. Let me go ahead and plug in my my power. All right. It's still loading. Okay. Let's see here. Transfer rank number 1 in 2023. You'll love to see that. All right. Oh, let me talk about this freshman here really quick. I wasn't too upset that we didn't get the commitment from Boo Carter. Great for Boo Carter going to Tennessee. They're a freaking top program, and I love what they're doing over there. Real exciting. But I got high expectations for Jaden Milner-Jones. I really do. Now, could he be somebody that eventually transitions to linebacker if that's where he wants to go? Yes. But he's a really solid safety, and he played for a real darn good defense there in DeSoto. And yeah, like that at the highest level of Texas high school football. I think he's a really good safety. Okay, let me take a look. I'm looking for Yelverton. Cisedu. Yeah. Maybe y'all can fill me in on the chat where Yelverton's at. I appreciate that, Aaron. Yeah. This is the year of destiny for me, finding out, just operating in my passions and strengths. And this isn't something that it's just a minor setback going for a greater thing. Cheryl C says outside of Dylan and Cormani, I'd say Adam Hopkins. Yeah. I mean, that guy can go up and get the ball. Big time playmaker, great speed as well. Dave, sorry to read what happened. It's their loss, but that job had to be out of the way for a new one. Absolutely. Yeah. It had been just for me like really tough to be there over the last 6 months or so. And so it wasn't anything that just based on like them losing clients and stuff like that, I got transferred onto a team where like I just wasn't, enjoying work as, much as I should be, or could be, and so yeah, I wasn't the only one that got laid off today. That's what happens when you don't sign business. And that's just part of the game of business. It's happened to me before, and I'm gonna be okay. Reach the people, my guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got me. Oh man, Sparky Buff, man, you're too kind. I'll keep my head up, man. I definitely will. This means a lot. And yeah, like this is something that like I've found so much joy in, and now I got the opportunity to grow it more. And so hopefully I can just align everything to where I'm able to do what I love and make money from it too. So um yeah, it's been great. This is my new job, bro. This is you. Yeah. Now I do have a question. Like my NBA channel, man, like I feel like I'm doing like the same type of stuff. It hasn't been like as frequent where like I'll do an NBA video on Let's Talk Hoops, but I'm getting like 6 views. And like I do the tags and I do the thumbnails, and I'm wondering like, is just the college football YouTube fan base just like 1,000 times bigger? Because I never had that. I never had that issue with this account. Like, well, like some videos, of course, don't perform as well as others. That's just how it always is. But like, I feel like I'm not getting any exposure at all when I'm doing like timely videos on like the hiring of Monty Williams, or I did a video on the Bradley Beal trade. It's just, I don't know. So if y'all have tips and pointers, it just really confuses me why I haven't been able to get traction on that channel yet. Reggie, I appreciate that. Yeah, I saw the comment you made the other day. Man, it happens. It maybe another opportunity at that place will open up, but if not, that's okay, man. I think I got what's best ahead. I truly do believe that. There are other times in my life where I haven't believed that, and I believe that now, and that's what's really important. I appreciate that, Reverend. John Wick says, please stop talking smack about ex-Buff players. Shaking my head. Which ones have I talked smack about? I don't feel like I've talked smack about any of them. The only one, which I think is totally fair, was like, we just don't know what happened with Zico. We can speculate. But yeah, I guess the chat has been a little ruthless on Zico. Yeah, I can get you on that. Trevor Branch, big Caleb Mathis fan. Yeah, man. Like, it was cool to see him do what he did in the spring game, kind of playing that Jimmy Horn role. I would, if I were in charge of everything, I would just want to redshirt him. Just maybe this sounds soft, but it's like just out for his own safety, because he's a light guy, he's a small guy, and he could use this year to put on a little bit more size and muscle. Because what is he, like 150 pounds? I'm guessing. I know other college football players play it that way. I just think it's crazy. I just think it's crazy. But man, he's a tough son of a gun. I'll tell you that. So, Darren Jennings says, I never knew how beautiful Boulder was. Yeah, again, like the only thing I don't really like about it is the cost of living is high here, but it's hard to be in a bad mood living out in this area. And for the most parts, you get 300 days of sunshine. Now we did just go through like 2 months of rain pretty much every day, which is totally not common here. We've had the most rain we've had in like 40 years out here, which is crazy, but that will prevent the fires from happening. We had a bad Boulder fire a few years ago where a lot of people lost their homes and they were underinsured with the property values increasing. And I think a lot of those people will never be able to, go back, which is really sad because they weren't insured properly. But yeah, it's a beautiful place to live out here. I just wish we had a little bit more comfort food out here. And, that's really about it. But other than that, I don't really have any qualms. It's just a relaxing place to live. You got the city nearby, and then there's also a lot of farmland, which is like really cool. Okay. Lawrence Collins. The boy wears a 36 regular suit jacket per the Reach the People. He has to get a bit bigger. Yes. Yes. I'm a skinny guy, so maybe I'm around that too. I don't know. And I definitely would not be able to handle anything on a football field. That's just true. All right. Carter Stoutmire's going to be on Life and Football tonight. Man, I'm going to have to set my notifications for that. Y'all be sure to see what Colin's doing if you haven't. He's great. Mac Mill, I think it's going to be hard for the freshmen to start getting positions. I think so too, man. We got a lot of guys with experience that have been in college football for a while. And even if they're more talented or, it might take a little while to realize that sort of potential. You know what I'm saying? Vacationing with Kids. That's an awesome name, by the way. File unemployment, make a budget, a strict budget, go all in on YouTube, create content, go live. Also, come up with some merch we can buy and support. Also, email me. I will sponsor some stuff for you. Well, thank you. Is your email on your YouTube channel? I'll definitely do that. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, I think, this is something that I've been just talking with my friends about recently because it's like, there are still some things that I would really enjoy doing my MBA with, or like things I went to MBA for or to get my MBA for with market research. But at the end of the day, I'm having the most fun doing this right now. And we'll have to see kind of where that goes. But yeah, when COVID hit and, I was unemployed, we had that strict kind of budget as well. And so I've been through that whole unemployment thing. So I just got to do that again and just start hustling, putting this out and also doing some door dashing, make good money door dashing out here. It's something else that I do in my free time. And we'll see kind of where it goes, but I would love to talk about sponsorship opportunities. And again, I think that this gives me the opportunity to really press into this, like you said, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Jim Davidson, musician, says Prime's done an excellent job of getting people to talk about the Buffs through social media. Regardless of their record, I'm predicting 8 wins. Heck yes. These coaches are teaching them to be responsible men. Absolutely. You're going to have good character guys on this team. And again, I think that's something that's it can't be understated. Like these guys are going to buy in. And that's why it was so important to just get everybody out that had been on this program for the last few years, because the more guys that you have that are brought in by this staff, the better. And the few that remain, they're going to be guys that are buying in. But man, bowl game. That's what I want. 8 wins definitely gets us there. Let's see what else y'all got to say. Mac Mill says, Uncle Neely's got you. Man, I hope so. I need to do that. Sadie says, yeah, he's from Texas like me. We like seasoning. Absolutely. And I will say like the Mexican food here is it's good. And I like it. I wish there were more places that did barbacoa and lengua and stuff like that, but you can find it. and that's what's good. We just need a little bit more like barbecue joints and it's just some good Southern cooking. We don't have that out here. Um, there's not a lot of the diet's just different here, and yeah, it's enough of that. Hey, what's going on? I'm gonna try this. I'm Prakash Daya. I'm Prakash. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate that. Ah, yes, he's a preferred walk on. I finally got to it. 6'7", though. Good Lord. Coach Prime wants content every day. If you do that, you're hired. Well, great. I don't post every day, but I post most days, so I'm already in the habit. So hopefully I can get there. I think that would be great. And you know what? They need a guy. They need somebody that that went to the school in some capacity. So that maybe I can kind of bring a little bit of that perspective and whatnot. Ooh, I probably need to go or Coach Prime. I don't know who you're talking about, me or Coach Prime, but it sounds like both of us need to go to Saucy Southern. They came from Mississippi, I believe. I'm going to have to look into that. All right, Reverend. Let's see. Shiloh's making it hard for another safeties because of the way he locks down. Jimmy Horn and others on drills. Oh, no joke. I'm going to have to look at that. But I mean, I wouldn't surprise it. And again, like Bill Carroll talked about Shador's ability to cover as well. Again, man, that guy was so cool to have on because his memory is just, it's just insane how you can just name a name and he can tell you all about him. I really was impressed, and it was good to hear that. I think that he has NFL expectations for Shiloh. Oh man, my friend Zane. Oh man, my friend Zane tuned in, gave me a $10 donation. He's wonderful. Everyone, send my bro a bit to support him. Content is worth it alone. Go Buffs. Yeah, I appreciate that. Zane's been my friend for a long time. He lives in Texas and he's a Texas fan, but the Buffs are his second team. Hopefully he can come up for a game this year. I would really love that. I appreciate you, Zane. You're too kind, man. That's what happens when we go to sleep on Shiloh. Headache gang for a reason. Absolutely. The dude is going to give some people some concussions this year. That's probably not PC for me to say, but that man hits hard. Nicholas Braxton. I was hoping you would bring up Tajay McCoy. He should have been a 4-star. I agree with you on that. 11 sacks, 16 tackles for loss as a senior. Was a late bloomer. Great power. He's in great shape already. Relentless motor and has good hands. Absolutely. He's another guy, man, that like I talked about with the linebacker position, same kind of defensive line where outside of maybe the guys that are outside of the guys that I guess we would expect to start, it's kind of a toss up from there. He's definitely got a guy that I could see getting playing time his freshman year. Sadie Rex, good to see you. I did have an interview. I found out yesterday I did not get the job. And then today I was laid off. So double whammy. That's all right. This is going to be, I hate to use the words like blessing in disguise and all that stuff, but this is a good, just doors are going to open, So if y'all need a business consultant, if y'all need people to do research for you, if y'all are hiring full-time, part-time, contract work in really anything, whether it's sports related or not, hit me up at davidtalksbuffs@gmail.com. No, the prime effect. Yeah, okay. Y'all are answering my question about like my NBA audience. The Coach Prime fan base is huge. Yeah, like that's what I feel like I'm discovering. And I'm like, good Lord, like I think it's bigger than I ever realized, to be honest, which is really cool. Yeah, and I think you're right, Lawrence Collins. The football fan base is significantly larger than NBA. And that's fun, man. Been doing this channel, man, because we just have fun with it. always do content on what everyone is watching, what's popular, especially trying to grow your channel. Lots of prime content and clickbait titles. I know. See, it's tough because I feel like I could write really good clickbait titles, but like I hate that stuff. I hate it. I really do. And I know it gets more views. It's like frustrating to see so many videos with the clickbait titles get those kinds of views, but maybe I'm just honest to a fault sometimes where it's like I just can't I can't do it. I try to write catchy headlines that I feel like will intrigue people, but it's never like Coach Prime said this and what, and like all that. It's just I just try and keep things real. Lawrence Collins, this is a slight digression, but Bradley Beal trade was crazy. Going to have a full roster of G League and Washington Vets on that teams besides KD, Booker, and Beal. They'll trade Ayton as they should. Yeah, man, it's I I don't think it was a bad trade for Phoenix necessarily because you kind of had to do that when you made the KD trade, but I wouldn't have made the KD trade. Expand and switch up your hashtags, follow the algorithm. Yeah, I'm gonna need to do a little bit more research on what's doing it. Anthony Steele, no disrespect to the other guy, but you would have been perfect for Locked On Buffs. Man, it's so funny, man, because I like tag all my videos for the most part with like Locked On Buffs and stuff like that because I want people to find my channel instead. If I'm being honest, I think it's nice that they do have a channel. I think Kevin Borba's good at what he does, but it's just it's different covering a team that like you've been told to cover rather than like one you have a relationship with, and it's just clear that he didn't have a relationship with CU prior to starting this, and if he's not like fully into it, that's fine. I'd be happy to take it over, but I also don't want to. Sometimes with the Locked On platform, it seems like they do things like a certain way. They want you to do things a certain way. And I'm really interested in making content, but I'm not necessarily interested in like being a guy who's going to like break news or like being an insider. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not, I want to talk about things. I guess it's more similar to, some of the guys that I've had on with Collins channel or Big Dog Chico or another guy I really like to hope to have on soon, Prime Source Media or DNVR. And I guess like DNVR and those guys, they can break news or have some insights, but it's not what has built their platforms. And sometimes I feel like the Locked On platform, they're more like kind of those types of journalists who do those types of shows, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm wrong on that and I just need to listen to more. But it would be really cool to go on that show. And yeah, but I probably shouldn't be talking bad about it. That's kind of not right. But, you can just tell when somebody has a passion for doing something. And I think I was kind of the same way, honestly, at this last job that I had. I wasn't necessarily doing stuff that was bringing a lot of intrinsic purpose and satisfaction, and sometimes you can just tell. Man, shoot, man, y'all are too kind. Thank you so much. God is not finished with me yet. Absolutely, I do believe that, man. Y'all are too kind, man. This really does mean a lot, and it helps make a tough day one that I'm really enjoying, looking on the bright side with. Like, y'all are just too kind. Yeah, the cost of living is not like here in Sacramento, California. Yeah, again, like what I was saying, it probably ruins my chance right now to get a mortgage, and that's okay. I don't know. We already submitted our pay stubs and stuff last week, so we'll see. But yeah, there's like still some nice condos that we could get here, but it's like what we could get a house for in Texas, like $300,000. But the value of the real estate will continue to go up and up over time, and I think regardless of if we move back to Texas here at some point, this will be a property that I would like to keep a hold on. So hopefully this year it can happen. Cheryl C. So you're in Boulder. Do you think any of the Buffs would grant you a brief interview on campus? Can you get access to their practices that are open to the media? Yeah, like that's something that it's something else that I've been thinking about. The reason that I've had a lot of other media people like on YouTube here on my channel to interview is because anybody that's making videos here, or anybody that's making content, like knows how to, or like is rather not knows, it's kind of comes off disingenuous, is comfortable like maintaining and creating a conversation in interview form. And sometimes with some of these athletes, it's the first time that they're talking or interviewing. And I know that like it will probably take, if I'm going to interview an athlete, it's probably going to take just a little bit more investment on my time up front, because what I would like to do is have a call up front where I brief them on how I'd like to do things, the types of answers, like, I might do some quick answers, like 20 questions, you fire off an answer. What's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? But I've seen like some of the people like that give interviews, they have great personalities. Others um, aren't, comfortable yet in front of the camera and microphone. And so I need to go through the process of kind of figuring out which players I feel like would really vibe and mesh with my channel and kind of how we do things here. And then after that, I think that I could start approaching. But normally, I have some friends that work in sports media. Normally, how they prefer you to do that is with scholarship athletes. You go through the school themselves first, requesting for interviews, and they can look down on if you kind of go around and message the athlete directly, and why that might not be a big deal to other people who live outside of the school, or like outside of this area. Like I can see like why that's fine. But as somebody who I think like eventually I would like to be credentialed and stuff like that, if I continue to grow this channel, that's just something that I want to be mindful of, is that I'm going about and doing it the right way. So yeah, that's something that I need to reach out to them first. But first I need to find who I think would mesh well with. I think Talon Chandler, he's not a scholarship athlete yet, just to commit. So I could go directly to him, and that would be pretty cool. I've seen him chime in on the channel before, which is really great. And, he's had a lot of interviews now. So, but I think I would want to kind of take a little bit different of a perspective, or just kind of figure out which players just want to talk about ball, and then which players are like cool about kind of opening up, sharing a little bit more of things about themselves outside of football. Man. Nah, Kanye. Yes, I did not get let go because of my beard. I've worked in creative. I've worked in the creative agency world, or the brand agency world, for a long time. It's very casual in terms of presentation and dress. So it is not that is not anything I got let go of for. Let's see. The Mexican food can't be better than Texas. Just saying. I agree with you on that, Cheryl. Though I will say sometimes the amount of cheese on Tex-Mex, I'm just kind of a texture guy. Sometimes there's just too much cheese. Got to be honest about that. Nicholas Braxton says the best DB is Omarion Cooper. To me, next would be Jaquez. That's great to know. So yeah, maybe we see Travis Hunter, Cooper, Jaquez is at 3 to start out, and then you see kind of Cormani rotating in there. And hey, depending on how things go, maybe he can get one of those spots. Is that how you would expect it? And you think Omarion might be the best nickel corner, though? That's good to know. Brian Painter says, "Love your contact. More power to you. I hope you can just hope it's just a good progress move." Absolutely, yeah. We're gonna yeah, we're gonna move forward with David Talks Buffs, and I know that I'm gonna be doing more stuff that I really enjoy, and I'm glad to hear that y'all hate clickbait titles, and that's it's short-term success. Absolutely. I just feel fake when I do it, man. Like I feel like I'm misleading y'all, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather have an audience that, you know, believes in what I'm doing. And, by the time I'm there, that, or at the video, y'all hear the video, y'all don't feel misled. Cormani's 6'2" and needs to get close to 200 pounds as possible eventually. Yeah, he just needs to put on the weight. The man has the length, I think, to play. And I think he's physical. But again, just like Travis Hunter dealt with some injuries last year, sometimes when you got that light frame going against grown men, it can lead to injury. We got to be careful with him. Reggie, the dude on Locked Off Buffs, is quite pessimistic. Yeah, I got to be honest. The last time I listened to a Locked On Buffs episode was probably like 2 months ago. So I can't say as of recently, but it was just kind of tough, man. It was kind of tough tuning in when it's like you should know the name, Montana Lemonious Craig, and like how to pronounce that, like, yeah, he's just been a buff for a while. Yes, I am from Texas. I lived in Abilene, West Texas for 7 years before moving out here to Colorado. And then my wife, her whole family's from San Antonio. So we're usually down there once or twice a year. I think we might move there eventually. We'll see. Like, we don't have any family out here right now. My aunt passed away like 4 years ago out here. So we don't have any family out here. So like, yeah, we just don't see people as often as we'd like to now. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. I would love an Offered All interview. Yeah, that would be really cool. I got to check out Life in Football's interview. I haven't done that. We're just gonna have to see. But right now, I've really enjoyed bringing in other people that are passionate about the team, because I just know that those are going to be great interviews. And I still want to work on my interviewing skills so that I can maybe work with people who aren't as polished, if that makes sense. Like, it's great having Bill Carroll on, because you just say one thing and that man literally can go on without me having to say anything for like 10-15 minutes. So maybe that was why I interrupted a little bit, because I wanted to make sure that we hit on certain points, because again, like, we talked for like 20 minutes before the show, we lost track of time, and then after the show I think we talked for another 40 minutes. It's like, but yeah, I'm still improving my skill, so we'll see how it goes. Sadie says, you had family that lived out in Eastland? Yeah, no way. Yeah, I got tons of family that's from Abilene. I grew up in the Chicagoland area in Illinois, but moved down to Texas for school. And so this is the third state I've lived in. And yeah, it's been cool. I enjoyed my time living there, but I like it out here a little bit more. West Texas can be a hard place to live in, especially for my allergies, man. Like, man, they were just so tough. Brian Painter, are you a brand guy? Get yourself branding these players. I think Dion would love that. I mean, need a door to access a player or two. Brian McFadden, Patrick Peterson podcast is a good model. Yeah, that's really interesting. I am working on some clothes with my friend Martez for his brand Yo Martez. We're just kind of working out a few little things that we're changing in our contract with kind of how things are structured, but we're going to be making some really cool stuff, and he's a great creative mind, and the merch that we're going to be selling is going to be cool. We won't have like a lot of different pieces, but the stuff will be like pretty freaking cool. And I've been thinking about maybe sending it to like Bucky or Darius or some of the other athletes, just to see like if they're cool with that. That could open up a door to meet with them. Zion to the Knicks, man, I would love to see that. That man needs to get out of New Orleans. He needs to be around some veterans that are going to put him in line. He needs to be around a coach that's going to put him in line. I love Zion because that man, he operates with an efficiency that is very rare to see in the NBA. That guy's a walking double-double as a young player, and it's been unfortunate. I don't know if he got the money, the extension too early, what it is, but it's clear that he needs a change of scenery. I'm not giving up on him at 22. No way. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life at 22. So I'm not going to blame these guys, if they need a change of scenery. Put Zion in New York. The Knicks deserve a superstar. Finally, they need to figure out a way to make it work and make sure that they got the right veterans in that locker room to make sure that he is mentored correctly. Because the mistake that New Orleans made was they just brought him in with another young team, and I guess adding Valanciunas or Steven Adams, they weren't the right voices. I'm a big Zion fan. I'm hoping that he can work through all this crap. I'm a big Ja fan too. It's been so frustrating to see the mistakes that they've made because they are superstars, and it's just unfortunate. I don't know. Yeah, if they just got the money too quickly or whatever it is. But both of those guys need some veterans to put them in line. Yeah, Boulder is really pretty, Sadie. You were looking at places just to see how much living there was. It's too far from my family. I'm definitely going to go visit. Yeah, it's definitely a great place to live and visit. And again, I'm okay with living in a small space right now, at least. Reggie, you're a Knicks fan. Like, man, the Knicks were really fun to root for this year, and they deserve a winner. They've suffered for too long. And I love the Bing Bong guy. I love all the side talk videos of the Knicks fans. All that stuff's great. Marcus, is Tim Brewster coaching the right position? Nobody's in his group and wants to play in his system. Man, you're too funny. Again, yeah, man. It's like stuff that I've been talking about earlier today. It's like, it's a valid criticism. And I think other schools, someone brought this up, is that other schools are probably saying, why you want to go there? They're not going to pass it to you at that position. We either need to evolve or showcase. And we did not really do ourselves any favor in the spring game of showcasing how we're going to use the tight end. That would have been kind of an interesting recruiting ploy if we're like, all right, like we need to throw it a Passerelle, down the field and all that. And, it's a valid criticism, man. It really is. But one thing that I would push back on with this comment, Marcus, is that Brewster hasn't had a problem getting tight ends at other schools and coaching very talented, well-rounded tight ends at other schools. And I think this more has to do with Sean Lewis than it does Tim Brewster. Yeah, Reggie says Brunson is a dog. Yeah, I love to see him play this year. And I like RJ Barrett. I know Julius Randle kind of like, I would like to see Derrick Rose go to a new place, though. Put him on a contender. I'm really curious about Savell Smalls. Yeah, I know. Me too. His high school tape was so freaking amazing. And then, he doesn't have a college sack. And I'm not a Washington fan, so I haven't really watched much of him, but I don't really know why. Was it more scheme or coach related? I don't know. You would think, like, based on the athlete that he is, he would have been able to be put in a situation where he would be getting sacks. But I know sacks isn't the end all be all of judging a pass rusher's ability, but I think that there's so much more potential with him. And I'm hoping that, I know that he had lost his position coach right after he had gotten there, or was fired after, briefly after he was there. And I don't know. I think that him being brought in here by a staff that knows what he brings to the table, I would not be surprised if he really breaks out. I'm really rooting for him. It seems like he's a very solid, level-headed guy, and he handled all that criticism there at Washington at his hometown school really well. And you got to give him credit for that. Yeah, y'all think Zion is simply too big? I mean, yeah, his body's too big. He's got to lose the weight, but that was kind of Jokic's thing, as a Nuggets fan, like kind of being overweight. Like even in like seasons of like 2018, 2019, he would come into the season a little overweight. And sometimes it just takes time with these players to get into the routine where they're taking care of their bodies. Like it just happened. It just happens. I would have hated if the Nuggets would have given up on Jokic 4 or 5 years ago because of that. Um, they've been able to work with him in a way in which he's improved that. And he's not fat anymore, despite what the people on ESPN tell you. But if he's able to lose the weight, then you don't have, the extra pressure put on the knees and the feet. And I think he stays healthier. Do you have another social media so someone can reach out to you? Absolutely. Fight against given odds. It is at David Talks Buffs on Twitter. I talk mainly Buffs every now and then. Like my titles, like David Talks Buffs and Ball. I'll talk a little bit of basketball, but mainly just use that to talk about Buffs. Cormani is 6'2". Absolutely. Always. Did I say he was something else? I might have missed that. But yeah, he's 6'2". The guy has the length to play. Absolutely. Reggie doesn't love RJ Barrett. Give me LaVine all day. As like the Bulls kind of being my second team, this whole time, man. I mean, LaVine's kind of like Beal. I feel like I don't know how far you're gonna get with him as like your second best player or your third best player, if I'm being honest. D Rose has to retire, man. Those injuries robbed him of his career. Yeah, I just want to see him on a contender, get him his ring, then he can retire with all that Adidas money. If LaVine isn't getting the ball, he loses interest. Absolutely. And his fourth quarter decision making in crunch time sometimes just makes you want to punch your hand through a wall. I will tell you that. LaVine's a baller. He can play better defense than he could play years ago. I just don't think he's a winning ball player, man. I think he does too much of that ISO stuff. Randall can go yesterday, spoken like a true Knicks fan. But hey, you got to make room for Obi Toppin. But there's been some rumors about Cat coming. I don't know why Tibbs would want Cat. It didn't work out. I think Cat's another soft player. I don't know why. I trust Coach Prime's ability to recognize talent, and I trust his staff to put players in the best positions for such. Absolutely, man. And that's why I'm just not if this was a Carl Durrell staff right now and we had 2 scholarship tight ends on the roster, I would be freaking out. I would be freaking out. But to me, it's more of what the heck is going on? But knowing that there's probably some plan, again, I'm not an insider, but it's, it's something for us to talk about, something for us to speculate about, which I think is fun. But ultimately, man, whether we're losing coaches that get hired as head coaches later on, Coach Prime's always going to be able to find the right coaching talent. And I believe that with the players as well. We miss out on a guy that's a wonderful big time talent like Boo Carter, but I think that we got the coaches and we got the players here to continue to build a really solid team. And maybe later on we can flip Boo Carter, just like we did Cormani. All right, Chris, I gotta push back on you a little bit after on this, but actually, maybe I need to seek to understand a little bit more. Now, if you're talking about Pac-12 as the strongest conference besides the SEC this year, there is a world for that because we did have the most top 25 finishes or most ranked programs, I think, outside of the SEC and maybe the Big Ten. I know we were third at worst. Now, that's going to obviously change after this year when UCLA and USC are gone. But, let's talk about the programs that I think could be ranked at the end of this year. There's a world in which CU is ranked, right? I'm just going to put that out there. USC, of course. Oregon. Oregon State was really good. And, you could argue that they got an upgrade at quarterback. We got Washington. That's 5 schools right there that are really solid. How could I forget about the back-to-back conference winners, the Utah Utes? That is 6 schools right there. And then let's throw in a couple other ones. Let's say UCLA is still killing it, even with freshman Dylan Moore at quarterback. That's 7. And then you could add a school like Wazoo in there as well. That's 8 schools, The Pac-12 is going to have a good year this year from a football standpoint. things are not looking good in terms of a media deal thing. I think with the fact that San Diego State was asking for an extension is a clear sign that there still isn't anything fully put together from a media deal standpoint, or else they would not be asking for that extension. Um, Again, like I would love for the Pac 12 to expand and stay together. I just don't see that as being viable at this point. Like, y'all know me. Like I've been an optimist, like, and even before I started this channel, like this whole year thinking that something would work out. Nah, man. We've been waiting for like 15 months on this whole thing. And at some point you have to realize that probably the reason it hasn't happened is because it's not good. That's probably the most obvious answer. Something hasn't happened because it's probably not going to happen. All right. Chris, but you also say you can't wait for USC and UCLA to leave. What? Man, it's a love-hate relationship with the LA schools, and it's a bummer to see them leave, man. And that's just the unfortunate reality of where we're at with college football, where rivalries and conferences, they're no longer regionally based, and it sucks. Like, it sucks because when you think of the Big Ten, you're not thinking of sunny Southern California. That's just what it is. You're thinking about terrible weather in November for schools like Michigan State, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, playing in freezing temps, and it's just weird. But now these schools and these programs who control college football or whatever, they're actually controlled by the media money. Let me go back to this comment, Zion. CU needs to leave ASAP. The 12-pack media deal will not be done before the start of the season. Yeah, it's clearly not. There's been so many other good windows for a deal to happen, and it hasn't. And I've been so sick of like hearing so many people say a deal's coming in the next couple weeks, deal's coming this, deal's coming then. And there's just been a lot of misinformation, or just rumors. I'm just so burnt out by it. But at this point, you just got to look at it logically. The deal hasn't happened yet because it's probably not been good. And as much as I would love to see them join a school like the SEC or the Big Ten, as smart as I would hope that those conferences would be for adding an up and coming school like Coach Prime and CU, I don't think it's going to happen. And so you bolt for the Big 12. You see how the next 7-8 years go after that, and then hopefully we can get into one of those two top conferences before they all break away from the NCAA. But hey, some of these conferences too, like the SEC and the Big Ten, it would be right for them to leave some of these schools behind. It would be better, I think, in working their interests if they left Vanderbilt behind for CU, right? I would think so. All right. There was something else that Zion was saying. Brewster has gotten one decent tight end to commit in the 24 classer. Has not got one decent tight end to commit. I know. And it's weird because he's a good recruiter. And I really wonder if it's just something where, like, we're just not going to develop that tight end position to be any more than like a blocker 95% of the time. And I think that's valid criticism. Or we just go with more green offensive lineman targets, bring them in as tight ends, and just use them there before their bodies are ready to transition to offensive tackle or the rest of the offensive line. Matt Lepsis did it. Connor Gilbreth is going to do it. Why? Maybe we just make that our way. I think that's kind of foolish because I think, the more weapons you have on offense that can do a variety of different things, the better off you're at. But that's just me. Tom Thibodeau's the type of hard-nosed coach that Zion needs. Absolutely. He needs somebody to kick his ass. And he'd be great in New York. And you got some other guys, like, you think Jalen Brunson and that, like, those guys are gonna just let Zion come in and just beat, not care about basketball. Maybe he would give, maybe New York would give him something to play for, because people probably don't want to hear this. Anybody that's living in NOLA or whatever, but I mean, they've had trouble keeping their stars for a reason. Vanderbilt's a baseball school. I forget baseball exists most of the time. CU doesn't even have a team. But that's good. That's good that they're a baseball school. I always forget about that. Yep, Connor Gilbreth committed to LSU. It made me so sad. They offered a couple lower school tight ends, but I guess they didn't commit. Yes, that was Connor Gilbreth coming from JUCO. He went to LSU, and then Dallin Bentley was a tight end from Snow College out of Utah, junior college, and he committed to Utah maybe like 2 weeks ago. So we'll see. Shale C, why is Christian Sarum no longer on the roster but still in practice? That's a good question. Did you see that in one of the videos? Well, y'all, I've been going for 90 minutes, so I should probably get rolling. I owe a couple friends a call, but man, I really appreciate y'all, just with all the kindness, all the oh, and shout out to Willie Green. Lawrence Collins played basketball against him. That's awesome. But yeah, I think if we're talking about David Griffin and all that, it's just he's had trouble keeping his stars happy. And that's just really it over time. I'm not gonna give up on Zion yet. I'm not. The man was like a walking double-double. I'm just talking NBA from here, and then I'm gonna sign off. But the man was like averaging on like 65% efficiency, like a double-double. The guy can get to the basket like no other. He's a decent facilitator. He just needs to lose the weight and be conditioned and kind of develop a little bit more of that mentality. And I think it's clear that, he needs a change of scenery. Heck, maybe he even needs to change, what kind of people he's around, man. Because, I mean, that's a whole nother discussion about the whole Mariah, whatever her name is, and then, being a baby daddy to, whoever. And it's, those tweets were insane. Those tweets were freaking insane. And man, I feel bad for the guy, man, because I don't think he's put himself in good situations, and here he is. But man, if again, only 22 years old. If I'm the Charlotte Hornets, I trade that number 2 pick for him. I take that risk. Why the hell not? LaMelo Ball running pick and roll with him? That would be great. Now, I do think that Scoot Henderson is going to be fantastic in the NBA, man. He's going to be a fantastic talent. Like, he already operates like a pro. Undersized at 6'2", but if you want more of a sure thing, yeah, Charlotte, you go and get that. You let the fit with LaMelo Ball work out. Maybe you bring LaMelo Ball off the ball a little bit more, because I still think he's a pretty good catch and shoot shooter. But I'm not ready to give up on Zion yet. Hell no. The guy is only 22. He still has his whole life ahead of him, and he's still young enough to where I think he can correct some of these issues. Maybe I'm just an optimist. Maybe I just want to ignore all the red flags that we know are there right now. But man, get him out of a city like New Orleans, where it's tough to, like, again, this probably sounds ridiculous, but it's like where it's tough to like eat healthy because all that comfort food is so tasty. Like, it's so good, but like, get him in a city where people are going to like be on his ass all the time, but also like a city like New York, if you live up to the expectation, if you get it together, you're a king. I think it would be really cool, man. And I was hoping that the Knicks were going to win the lottery that year. If it wasn't the Bulls, to see we just need, the NBA needs big markets, man, like that, like New York, to have a real star like that. Brooklyn doesn't count. We all know that. KD should have gone to the Knicks. Let's be real. If KD had gone to the Knicks, they would have been in the finals here at some point. I believe that because they would have surrounded him with a real team. And it's unfortunate, man. But when your best friend is Kyrie, you don't always make the best decisions. Yeah. But you're right, man. Nuggets still got the team to beat. I'm not worried about Phoenix. It's going to be fun to see kind of how this whole thing unfolds with them. And really the NBA draft, man. I'm going to record a podcast with my friend Nick for Let's Talk Hoops today. And we'll talk all about that. And, we'll see how it all goes. But, man, the NBA, I love it so much. And if y'all haven't seen Winning Time on HBO about the Lakers Showtime, like it's more of a drama. Don't expect it to be historically accurate, but I love that show. They exaggerate everyone's personality just a little bit to where it's really entertaining and it's done really well. It's not one of those shows that you can watch like with your family because it's like HBO and there's like, of course, there's going to be Magic Johnson sex scenes that show up, that you got to like probably fast forward through or whatever. Can get a little annoying. Why do all the shows have to be like that nowadays? Like, can't we just have some good dramas, adult dramas without that stuff so that we can watch it with our family and not feel weird about it? Like, maybe that's just where I come from. Maybe it's not weird to y'all, but it's, it's weird to me. But it is what it is. It's HBO. Utah not getting all those tight ends to the NFL, but I think Utah's a pretty good place to be a tight end. They just got Kincaid as a first round draft pick. Man, he's one of their best players last year, probably their best receiving threat last year. If I'm being honest, that guy's a complete tight end. He's going to do real good with Josh Allen. Zion can afford a chef. Geography can't hide gluttony. Man, that's a fair criticism, man. Like, Bake Ziti. That's an awesome name, by the way. Again, he needs to be in a new situation where people are really going to take a different approach to holding him accountable, or not just holding him accountable, but motivating him in a different way to where like he would enjoy that. But if I'm a team, if I'm a GM of the Charlotte Hornets, if I'm the Portland Trailblazers, where like, come on, man, Dame really needs he really needs a ring. What other moves, if you're the Portland Trailblazers, can you make in which the potential is a ring? It's not going to be trained for Brandon Ingram. It's not going to be trained for Bam Adebayo. It's going to be literally train that third overall pick for Zion Williamson, and then you already got the young core. You already got a good center in Nurkic there. You got Jeremy Grant. You got Anthony Simons. You got Shaedon Sharpe and Dame. Like, that's a really solid core. And if Zion can take that next step, man, if he can, and stay healthy, the Trailblazers are going to be a tough team because they have a great mix of shooting, defense, rebounding, like with that sort of team. I would love that. You put Zion at the 3, leave Jeremy Grant there. And he can kind of interchange at the 3 and 4, with Zion. But I would love that for Portland. And if I'm them, I take the risk, because if you can't do that, you can't bring in another star to play with Dame. Anything else is just not going to work out. You might as well ship him to Miami and just start over. Start over around Tyler Hero and a bunch of other guys. Man, Coach Prime would rather get experienced players in the portal than a roster full of freshmen. You're absolutely right, which is why I think we'll see very few play a lot this year. Coach Prime will always be top 10 in transfers, though. Absolutely. That's how we're going to continue to build this team moving forward. He's very good at recognizing talent, seeing how they fit the program. Tyler Brown just said how good the team is meshing. Absolutely. And in this weather, man, you're going to go on and do a whole bunch of things together. Who before Kincaid went first round? Well, not a lot of tight ends, man, in the last 10 years have gone first round. But that's a good question. But I feel like they've always just, I don't know, like, again, I'm just going off of like what I can remember in recent memory, man. Like they've always used their tight ends well. They play a lot of smash mouth football. And I don't think that we're saying, well, at least I'm not going to speak for Nicholas. I don't mean to say that they're an NFL tight end powerhouse like maybe the U was, 20 years ago with putting out a first round tight end all the time, which was really incredible. But they've had good, serviceable production at the tight end position at the college level. Katie and Zion would have answered my prayers. Yeah, and take the chance on Zion. What do you got to lose? If it all blows up, you can just blame Zion, right? Like, you take that. Utah's had a good squad for some years. And football, yes. If we're talking basketball, yes. Dame is oversays welcome to Portland. He'll never win a championship in that city. And yeah, like he deserves a ring. And I feel like he's trying to give them these opportunities to run it back and all this. And it seems like, again, it's kind of up in the air. And you either trade him right now before you start getting diminishing returns, or you bring in a guy as one last effort for this year, Zion Williamson. Call me crazy. I would do it. Well, yeah, maybe he doesn't have enough quickness to play on the wing. But I think Jeremy Grant could do it. I know it's not like how he's traditionally done things all the time, but he did a little bit of it here in Denver. And I would just think, like, the way I think about it, obviously you put him at the 4. That's his more natural fit, Zion. But I'm just thinking of, like, I would hate for them to give up Jeremy Grant because he's a solid player as well. And how would you make that work? Maybe you put Zion at the 3. But yeah, maybe he doesn't have the quickness to be out on the wing like that, nor is as reliable of a shooter maybe as what you'd want on the outside. So maybe then you just work with Jeremy Grant. If not, you train for another wing. Heck, people probably wouldn't like this, but another wing guard player I think that they could bring in that would be really interesting, and I'm not sure about their cap situation. Maybe it's a sign and trade. Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks is a good basketball player. Had a tough time in the playoffs, but early on, young players struggle in their first few playoff series. I'm not going to hold that against him too much. Man's like 23, 24. Awesome, you're right. I'm going to get an opportunity to find a better job and a more awesome job. In Alaskan Wild Adventures, here you go, man. I appreciate your support of my channel. Let's see. What else y'all got? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lawrence Collins. Dillon Brooks is solid. Agreed there. Dude, the guy, his shot's only going to get better. And the man learned his lesson. It was very stupid to, talk crap to LeBron. It happens. But Memphis is foolish, man, because those kinds of guys like Dillon Brooks, every successful NBA championship team has a guy like Dillon Brooks on their team. And that was ridiculous for them to say, like, we're not bringing him back on any circumstances, whatever, because he has not been a problem off the court like their other guard. And to me, I don't know, man, what's going on in Memphis? Really, whoever gets Dillon Brooks, it's going to be good. I would like to see the Lakers get Dillon Brooks. I would like to see the Phoenix Suns get Dillon Brooks somehow. Another guy who I think could benefit, or another team could benefit from Dillon Brooks, is Miami, man. Like, they could really benefit from a guy like Dillon Brooks. But I know they got Tyler Hero there. So, but if they move him for somebody else, if they're able to swing a Zion Williamson trade, which would be probably centered around Tyler Hero and a bunch of other picks, stuff like that, that would be pretty interesting, man. Yeah, Memphis does talk a lot for a team that's never won anything. Absolutely. And, they're a young team, man. A lot of people forget that they're a team that, young teams struggle in their first playoffs. Like that's okay. They're going to get there. But they do need somebody they do need an older vet to come in there and really help set the culture, because it's clear that Ja didn't care to listen to Steven Adams. And a lot of people are forgetting this, but there are a couple people that the Denver Nuggets need to give credit for this ring. And one of those main players is somebody that they overpaid at kind of the late prime of their career to kind of forego the possibility of ring chasing to come in here and set the culture, Paul Millsap. They overpaid him. I think they gave him a max deal or close to a max, and kind of near the end of his prime. And he came in here and set the culture. He got guys here in line. Gary Harris was another guy that they drafted, but he always kind of behaved like an old vet. And Jokic and Murray and the rest of this core isn't at where they're at without Paul Millsap. Memphis needs somebody like that, man. Now, I know that Andre Iguodala didn't want to play for them a couple years ago, but I think, you try and bring in a guy like that, kind of in that Udonis Haslem, DeAndre Jordan role, kind of how he played for the Nuggets this year. What's going on, Mr. Bob? I appreciate you saying hi. Frank White says, I feel like Brewster's outspokenness of Zico is hurting our tight end recruitment. Also, the stigma that tight ends won't get any passes their way. I mean, I don't think you're wrong there, man. I think that they need to do some work in kind of changing the narrative. That overall, this program's so good at controlling their own narrative and telling the stories. This is one that they got to do a better job at. And again, like I was saying maybe 20 minutes ago, they could have done a better job of this at the spring game, showcasing the tight end position if it wasn't going to be something that seriously taken. You could have done that and gotten more tight ends interested in the programs. And you can always say, hey, look back at how we did it at the spring game. It's not just how it's going to be at Kent State. Dude, Houston needs a guy like Dylan Brooks. Absolutely. Another team that has been, I feel like, too young for their own good. Ime is a hard ass, so I think he'll be a good coach. But you always need a mix of veteran guys. Mr. Bob, I appreciate you. I would love to, man, if they did that reality show for broadcasting for ESPN Sports Center, I would love to do that. P.S. I love Luke Bryan so much. The country artist? I mean, that's cool. That's awesome. I can't name a Luke Bryan song, but man, who am I listening to a lot of right now? Man, what's his name? I don't know. My memory sucks sometimes. Brooks would be a great addition for the Rockets. Absolutely. The Sean Lewis system won't get an elite tight end. I agree. Yeah, I feel like that's the one fair criticism of this program. Frank White, I'm a Heat fan. I don't see the Heat making it back to the finals in Jimmy Butler era unless he's the second best player. It's been amazing what they've been able to do with him as the prime guy. It's a shame for his sake that it took him being on his fourth team for a team to believe in him and build around him. It's insane that the Chicago Bulls didn't do that, but they also had, the Muppets running the organization there, Garpax and all that, man. Those guys did not know basketball. And yeah, it's unfortunate that he's already 33 because time is running out, and I would love for them to bring in a guy like Damian Lillard, but I just don't think that's going to happen, man. And we'll just have to see what kind of moves they make. They need to bring in another star. What's great is that they got Pat Riley, and Pat Riley is one of the best in the business at getting these surprising moves made. So, it's still a good day to be a Heat fan. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. I really do got to get going now, but I'll be back with some more videos here soon. And again, I appreciate everybody's encouragement, support, and y'all are too kind with those super chats. I never come on here expecting to get anything like that from y'all, and it always means so much to me. So I'm going to continue to work and grind, and it's only up from here. So until then, next time, everybody, let's go Buffs.